In 1985, a DEA agent was kidnapped in broad daylight. For more than 30 hours, he was beaten, interrogated, and tortured. His name was Kiki Camarena. The cartel pulled the trigger, but years later, former agents would ask a darker question. Did the CIA know this was coming and do nothing? Enrique Kiki Camarena was not born into power. He was the son of migrant farm workers. Raised in a world where stability was never guaranteed and opportunity had to be fought for. Before joining law enforcement, he served in the U.S. Marine Corps. Discipline mattered to him, order mattered, so did fairness. When Camarena joined the Drug Enforcement Administration, the agency was still young. Still trying to prove it could fight an international drug trade that was expanding faster than any police force could contain it. Kiki believed in the mission. He believed that if you documented the crime carefully, followed procedure, and respected the law, the system would eventually work. That belief would take him to Mexico. By the early 1980s, Guadalajara was not just a Mexican city. It was the headquarters of an emerging empire. The Guadalajara Cartel was unlike earlier trafficking groups. It wasn't chaotic, it wasn't hidden, it operated openly, protected by politicians, police commanders, military officers, and intelligence figures who all had something to gain. Drug money flowed upward. Protection flowed downward. The cartel controlled marijuana production, heroin routes, and increasingly, cocaine pipelines linking South America to the United States. To survive in Guadalajara as a law enforcement officer, you had to understand one rule above all others: everyone was compromised. Kiki Camarena understood that rule, and kept working anyway. Camarena did not act recklessly. He built cases slowly. He cultivated informants, he tracked aircraft movements, he mapped land ownership records, he followed money trails that others ignored. Over time, he began to see something alarming. Drug operations were not just tolerated, they were integrated into local power structures. When Camarena passed his findings up the chain, pressure mounted. The cartel knew he was dangerous, and they knew he wouldn't stop. In 1984, Camarena helped uncover what would become one of the largest drug busts in history: Rancho Búfalo. A marijuana plantation spanning more than 1,000 acres in the Chihuahua Desert, protected by armed guards, irrigated with modern equipment, producing profits measured not in millions, but billions. When Mexican forces raided the ranch, thousands of tons of marijuana were destroyed. For the Guadalajara Cartel, it was a financial disaster. For Camarena, it was a death sentence. The cartel had lost too much. Someone had to pay. After Rancho Búfalo, Camarena's position became precarious. His name circulated openly. His movements were watched. His safety was compromised. DEA agents later said he requested reassignment. That reassignment never came. In Guadalajara, cartels did not hide their power. They displayed it. And on February 7, 1985, they acted. Camarena left the U.S. consulate during daylight hours. He was intercepted in public. Witnesses later recalled the lack of urgency. No masks, no disguises, no attempt to avoid attention. He was forced into a vehicle and driven away. Local police did nothing. No roadblocks were set. No emergency response followed. It was as if the city already knew what had happened, and accepted it. Camarena was taken to a residence linked to cartel leadership. Inside, he was restrained. What followed was not impulsive violence. It was controlled, calculated. For more than 30 hours, Camarena was interrogated. His injuries would later reveal sustained torture. But the most disturbing detail came from what investigators would uncover later. The session was recorded, audio tapes existed. This was not just punishment, it was extraction. According to those who later heard the recordings, Camarena was questioned about far more than drugs. He was pressed on intelligence, on who he was reporting to, on what he knew about relationships between traffickers and officials. The tone suggested panic, as if the cartel feared something had already been exposed. This raised a question that would never fully go away. What had Camarena seen? Weeks later, Camarena's body was found. He had been murdered. The United States reacted with fury. Publicly, this was framed as a cartel atrocity. Privately, it was something worse, an attack on American authority itself. The DEA launched Operation Leyenda, the largest homicide investigation in its history. Agents were deployed across borders, extraditions were demanded, cartel leaders were hunted relentlessly. Several suspects were eventually arrested and convicted. On paper, justice had been served, but among agents involved, the story never felt complete. Years passed. Then former DEA agents began speaking out. They alleged that the CIA had ongoing operations in the region during the same period. That some cartel figures were not just criminals, but assets, that drug routes may have intersected with Cold War priorities, that arms, money, and intelligence flowed through unofficial channels. According to these claims, Camarena may have uncovered links that threatened more than drug profits. The CIA has consistently denied these allegations. No official document has proven direct involvement. No court ruling has confirmed complicity. From an institutional standpoint, the case is closed, but intelligence history is filled with operations that were denied for decades, until records emerged later. That uncertainty fuels the controversy. One of the most troubling claims made by former agents is not that the CIA ordered Camarena's death, but that warnings existed, that threats were known, that intervention was possible, and that nothing was done. If true, the moral question becomes unavoidable: is silence the same as responsibility? There is no dispute that the cartel tortured and killed Kiki Camarena. There is no dispute that corruption protected the killers. There is no dispute that his death changed U.S.-Mexico relations forever. Everything else lives in shadow. But the large question still remains: did the CIA let this DEA agent die? There is no final answer, only evidence, denials, and a silence that has lasted decades. Sometimes history isn't hidden, it's buried under layers of responsibility no one wants to claim. Kiki Camarena believed the system would protect him. Instead, his death exposed how fragile that belief can be. The cartel pulled the trigger, but the unanswered questions that followed may be the most disturbing part of all.